In the ancient land of Sparta, warriors were not born. They were made. From their first breath, a Spartan's life belonged to the state. His purpose was clear: to serve, to protect, and if necessary, to die for Sparta. At the age of 7, boys were taken from their mothers, their childhoods cut short by duty. They were enrolled in the Agoge, a harsh and unforgiving military training program that stripped away comfort, compassion, and weakness. Pain was their teacher. Discipline was their constant companion. These boys were forced to survive on minimal food. They learned to steal, but if caught, they were punished. Not for stealing, but for being careless enough to get caught. They fought each other in brutal contests, often until bones broke and blood was spilled. At night, they slept under the open sky, even in the bitter cold of winter. They wore no shoes. They owned no luxuries. Their lives were reduced to the essentials: discipline, endurance, and obedience. And those who failed to meet these brutal standards, they were discarded. Only the strong survived, and the strongest among them became true Spartans, warriors without equal. But it was not just strength that defined them. It was their fearlessness. Not because they felt no fear, but because they mastered it. They believed death on the battlefield was not a loss, but the highest honor. A Spartan's tombstone often read simply, "He died in battle. He died a Spartan." Spartan women, too, were taught the value of courage. They would tell their sons and husbands before battle, "Come back with your shield," or on it. Returning without a shield meant one thing: you had fled, and there was no place in Sparta for cowards. Spartans fought not for personal glory, but for their brothers standing next to them. Their formation, the phalanx, was a wall of shields, each protecting the man beside him. Unity was their greatest weapon. An individual could fall, a phalanx could not. Before battle, Spartans would not shout or boast. They stood silently, their eyes cold and focused, their shields steady. Their enemies often broke ranks before the first spear was thrown, paralyzed by the calm ferocity of Spartan discipline. At Thermopylae, 300 Spartans and their allies stood against an army of over 1 million Persians. They knew they would die, and still they stood. For 3 days they held the narrow pass, their phalanx unbroken, their courage unshaken. When the final blow came, they died as Spartans, with their shields side by side. The world remembers their sacrifice not because they were the strongest, but because they were the most disciplined, because they fought without fear, because they lived for something greater than themselves. And what can we learn from them? That discipline is freedom, that courage is not the absence of fear, it is the mastery of it, that unity, loyalty, and honor are stronger than any sword. You are not so different from them. You will face battles in your life, and you will be afraid. But like the Spartans, you can choose to stand. You can master fear. You can train your mind to be unbreakable. You can fight, not just for yourself, but for those who stand beside you. You can live as a warrior.